Hey folks, welcome today to the session on Iterate to Innovate. Today we're going to be talking about how you can enhance product development through experimentation and feedback. It's going to be a very interesting, very exciting session, so stay tuned till the end. If you have any questions, we will have a separate Q&A session towards the end that will clear all your doubts. But that said, please feel free to pause me anywhere in between if you think. Please keep this interactive. If you think you have any questions at any slide, just come on screen, I'll pause, you can ask your questions and we'll get started. Time to jump right in. I'll just start with a small intro to my journey and then share what we will cover in the session going forward. That's it. I'll start sharing a little bit about my journey so you also get a little background into where I'm coming from. I've spent a decade building products and community. This is something that I'm super passionate about. Currently focused on building an app called Indistractable. It's a tiny team, but we're growing pretty fast with almost 1 million downloads on the Play Store. If any of y'all are trying to cut down your screen time, are active on Android, do check us out. We've also done this by spending we've grown to 1 million downloads without spending $1 on marketing. So if any of y'all are building consumer apps here and are in the early stage growth journey, DM me, would love to share some of our learnings. I was also integral to building a community called the Product Folks, which is today Asia's largest product and tech community with over 200,000 members. It is free to join. It is by folks like you and me. So if you need any help on product feedback, if you need any help on hiring, if you need any help on L&D, go check out the Product Folks Academy. Last but not the least, my earlier role was with PepsiCo, where I spent time across Europe and Sub-Sahara building incredible internal products for this company, and I think that taught me a lot. So lots of experiences across early stage to late stage, and community at the heart of everything. We'll definitely share some learnings from this as we progress in the session. Right? So there are 4 main parts. First one that I'd love to go deeper into, and which I think is very relevant for early stage startups, whether you're building in B2C or B2B, it is the continuous experimentation theory. With a couple of examples, with a couple of frameworks, and with a couple of case studies, I'd love to go deeper to show you how larger companies have done it. We will also do one exercise towards this. I have 2 of them, but at least one that we will cover, which essentially is on how you can iterate towards building your own roadmap. So the particular exercise that we all will do together is to get your positioning together, right? I think this is one thing that I've felt like a lot of early stage startup miss out on, that I think a lot of people in the valley get right? So I think this is something I'd love to chat. Lots of takeaways. It's a very simple exercise, but it is something tangible. It is something that you can implement right after this call, right? So if there's anything outside of this, we will have a small Q&A towards the end. If you want to jam on something that we missed out on the last session, we can take off from there. Quickly getting started. There's a game that I think we played last time, so I'll quickly skip through. We've broken the ice. We know each other a little well, and some of you all have already switched on your videos, so I'm guessing it will be very interactive. But the main learning from this particular game that we all played together last time was essentially saying that, hey, large companies have iterated from nowhere to everywhere, right? They were building something very different. They got a better thesis. They figured out a better pain point. They went out, built out much larger companies in spaces that they didn't start with, right? So I think the first learning for us there is that most new product ideas fail, and that is completely okay. Please internalize this within you and your team, right? As we start building out products, especially if we worked across larger companies, when we build out something of our own, we feel like it has to be perfect on day one, right? And to be honest with you, we saw a couple of examples already, show you a couple of more, where you start with a certain thesis, a certain hypothesis, you test that out in the market, and then you iterate from there, right? So it is completely okay. We're all going to internalize that most new product ideas fail, and it is completely okay. Please build a culture within your companies, right? You as a founder, your main effort is to make sure that your team feels comfortable experimenting. And of course, the quicker you can iterate, the closer you can get, the faster you can get to PMF, you're giving yourself more chances to succeed, right? There is no doubt about that. But this can only happen if you have a culture of experimentation, right? Brings us to rule number 2, which is essentially it is almost impossible to predict which ideas will succeed or fail. irrespective of how senior or experienced you are, right? Of course, with seniority, with experience comes certain subject matter experience, and you probably might have insights that others from the outside don't have, right? That's your special edge, but that still doesn't guarantee anything, right? You still need to put in, a lot of effort getting from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, right? You will get closer, but there are absolutely no guarantees that, hey, this is the idea we have and this is going to be $1 billion startup, right? This takes us to something very interesting, which is essentially that, hey, we all need to develop a habit or a culture of continuous experimentation, right? Especially if you're building software products. Some part of this is more easily doable than if you're building something in the hardware space, right? Hardware startups probably need a slightly more capital upfront than software products need to experiment, right? No doubt about that. Some of y'all, I remember there was a startup in the previous cohort who probably needs a lot of capex because they need to set up factories to build what they are, right? But take a step back, right? Is there a way we can figure out a market for something like this, right? Many things you can hack together. You can put together a prototype. You can put together a pilot. You can put together a POC where you can work with a larger company, import some parts. You can figure out if there's a real demand for something like this before spending 2 years on actually building out what you want to build, right? So a lot of ideas, yes, I completely agree. If you're building something that is highly technical, if you're building something that is very heavy on R&D, it is 100% possible that you probably need a little bit more time, and building an MVP or experimenting that early on might be slightly harder. But I've gone through all your ideas, a lot of startups presented on the last session. Among all of us, we know that, hey, 90% of y'all can definitely iterate towards something without spending too much capital upfront, right? The main takeaway or TLDR for those who don't know is, hey, it's too long. I didn't read so far, or I was busy. I know Ayush is probably a little busy, a little caught up, and wasn't able to follow the slides so far. But the main takeaway is that, hey, as a founder, I need to build a culture of continuous experimentation here, right? I didn't mean to call you out, Ayush. I was just having some fun. But we all need to please try bringing in this culture within your companies, right? One thing that I feel has changed in the product development or building process is, some of you all might relate with this. Many of us have been building products for a long time. Initially or earlier in the day, we used to have a killer product idea. We'd go figure out the market, come up with some research to back up our idea. We'd write out a business plan, try getting internal or external funding. If you're building it within a larger company, you need someone to sponsor it for you. If you're building it as a standalone idea, if you're building your own company, you probably will go to market, try raising some money. You would then, distill out some of these ideas. You'd hire a team. You take 6, 9, 12 months to build out a product, then go to market, figure out if there are customers for this. You spend a year and a half, you spend some money, and then you realize, okay, hey, maybe there's no demand for something like this, right? It's happened to so many of us over the years, right? In these days, I think one thing that a lot of startups started to do, don't get worried by the diagram in front of you. Might look a little complex, but I'll break it down for you. I'm sure many of you are already applying some parts of this, right? You've been able to shape out your idea, right? Today, using AI, we have a tool called Write My PRD, right? Within the first 10 minutes, it has an onboarding that can help you just put down your idea there, put down your requirements. It'll put down a nice little requirements document for you, right? So that entire part has been slightly automated, I'd say. But the more important part is that, hey, there's one step that I'd love for all of you all to do. As soon as you put down your idea on paper, get everyone together, figure out or extract and rank some of the hypotheses. You've come in with an idea. You've said that, okay, I think this might work for this market. We need to figure out, okay, which one of these ideas you would pick out, you would design a test around it, and you can run a hypothesis with some success metrics, right? If X works, we will have metrics Y, and then I will go out and build Z, right? So you need to pick out some of these experiments, some of these hypotheses, which you will then be able to design some tests. Once you design a test is where you take that one particular hypothesis or idea, go out into the market and enter something that we call the learning loop, right? We'll go into depth in how you can design tests, how you can enter learning loop. So don't worry about it, but I thought I'll give you an overview because it will relate to a lot of y'all on the way y'all are working today, right? So you've been able to now go out there, build a tiny product, And what I mean by a product is essentially anything that can help you validate your hypothesis. It doesn't have to be a full-blown product. But at the same time, times have changed, right? I might give you an example of Dropbox earlier, which worked for them in 2012. It might not work for you in 2024, right? But you need to figure out how you are going to validate your idea. You're going to go out there, you're going to build, you're going to, take that product to market. You'll get some feedback, right? This could be quantitative data, this could be qualitative data. You take that, you measure that data, you figure out, okay, hey, what are we learning from this? Is the market receptive to what we're building? Are they adopting the tool that we've built? Is this a solution that they really need? We learn some of these insights. We go back to the drawing board saying that, hey, this has worked, this hasn't worked. We tweak our hypothesis, we design a new test, we then go back and build the same loop again till we get closer to PMI, right? Once you've captured this learning, now you know, okay, hey, this is the entire process we will go back into. Some of y'all might already be doing some parts of these, but you'll see a stark difference between what I shared with you on the previous slide, right? Anyone, any questions so far? Somewhere you feel like, hey, what he's saying somewhere resonates with us, but we're stuck in doing step X. Is most of your process like this today? Anyone following a different process, especially if you're building software products? Balaji, Jitendra, I'm sure yours should be somewhere closer to this.
It's mainly related to customer feedbacks. It's daily they give new challenges, new problems. Right. And then we get back with our software team and they said, sir, that's not possible. Yeah. So it's always challenging because just like my biggest market is the saloon guys. We are targeting tier 2, tier 3 cities saloon owners. They have different requirements to tap the client. They want some kind of vouchers. Like if I pay $15,000, all the services will get into 30% discount mode. Yeah. You develop that product. Yeah. Then we, apart from membership and voucher, we come back with a solution finder. So every day we come up with a new problem which my saloon guy is giving us. So it's a over-evolving product. So from the last 6 months, we are developing it. And I find it that the more challenges they give, my product will be better, no doubt. Yeah. Revenue will start flowing later.
Amran, I'll be very honest with you. All of us go through this problem statement. I think it's the most common question asked, and you're not alone, right? I'll just share with you something that I have been trying to internalize, and this happens with most B2B clients especially. How I do it, I take every feedback, I take every single user into the more calls you do, more insights you get. But I don't go out there to my software team or my product team and say that, hey, okay, we're going to build this out right away, right? We have a backlog, we have a Jira board that we maintain, where essentially we say that, okay, hey, customer X has given us this feedback. This might solve their problem, right? This is not a guarantee. One thing I've learned over time is the more the features, it doesn't guarantee that your product is better. And second, many customers want many things, but don't end up adopting it. These are just two learnings I'm sharing from, building products. And there's something like I'm sure will resonate with you as well, right, in your journey. So I take all the feedback, I put it down on a board. A simple and a hard way to do this. A simpler way is, okay, hey, wherever we are seeing more customers ask for this, we're going to go put a little bit more time and energy figuring out if this is something that we want to prioritize on our roadmap. We take every feedback, it helps us build our roadmap, right? So feedback, 100% take it. Now, whether you should go directly and tell your software team that, okay, hey, why isn't this there, or when is this coming? Which is natural, right? Any client tells us something, we're like, okay, hey, this seems important. If we do this, they'll pay us this, or an extra amount coming our way. This is very natural, right? But take a step in between, get a product manager to go in between, talk to these customers, tell them that, okay, hey, very relevant what you're sharing, and I will go back to my team. I will figure out with them that, hey, if this is relevant for X percentage of our users, then we will definitely prioritize this, and then I will come back to you with a timeline. I'm not saying no, I'm not committing. I understand this is a pain point for you, 100% agree. The basics are already built in, and maybe what you're suggesting is something that is very relevant to you. We will come back to you with something more. The learning there has been, you have to push back a little. If not, most times you end up building a feature factory, a product that is so heavy that then the new customers aren't able to adapt it to what they are building, right? So I would just take a step back there. You just unmuted, so I'd love to hear if you have some thoughts, and then than us.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, most of them asked inventory building, but nobody uses the inventory product at all.
Exactly. And then what happens, it often happens like in the cycle, you then go out, build out a bunch of things, doesn't work, then again you'll strip down, you'll do an 80-20, then you're like, okay, hey, 80% of my members or my user base of a B2B2C also of a client is only using 20% of that product. I would strip out everything else, then again you'll strip down a product to 20% of it and rebuild from there. So save yourself that effort of building and rebuilding. Put someone on your product team. Essentially, that is the role of a product manager, to come in between, to understand, okay, hey, these are the requirements. It is basically a layer between one side, understanding what the customers really need, not want, but really need, versus on the other side, okay, hey, how do we prioritize? They are going to be, the product manager is the person who is going to make your engineering, design, marketing teams more efficient, right? Maximum way they can work together, ship the features that are actually relevant, that can make you money, is the job of a product manager.
That's true.
But very relevant. Don't worry. Like, this is a journey all of us have been through, and not easy. I think just small tweaks hopefully will make the difference there. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? Any thoughts on this so far?
Yeah, I will raise one. A/B testing.
A/B testing, yes.
How do you do that if you have one app?
Very right. Actually, I had a 1-hour session just on A/B testing. Maybe with you, I'll jam anyway separately on that. I did that only with yesterday. I was chatting with the CPO of Optimizely. She was there for 4 years. Now she's moved on to Launchdarkly. I'll try bringing in those insights for you, because it is definitely not something I can cover in even 5 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll pull out that resource for you. It'll be very, very helpful to you. It's a guide of sorts on how Optimizely suggests. I'll pick out that guide and I'll share it with you. If anyway, we have the thread open, so I'll share it with you then.
Thank you. Wonderful. Absolutely.
Awesome. Folks, we'll just move on to the next one, but feel free to ask me any questions that you have. Point 1 and 2 on the 5-point map is fairly straightforward, but I thought I'll go deeper into point 3. Right? Don't worry, this is I can share templates for all of these in case you need it, but use these only as reference point. You don't have to follow exactly the same. I'll just share interesting example, and this is, all of y'all might have seen waitlists as a moment that came up on a lot of SaaS websites, right? Every SaaS website before launching the product used to start a waitlist. Especially, I remember in 2019, in 2020, it became a rage, and now people are too tired of it, so you don't see it as much. But this movement actually started with Dropbox back in 2012. I'll share the story with you. Anyone here knows the Dropbox waitlist story? Anyone has heard about this one? It's a very famous case study. Okay, awesome, great. No one knows it, so it'll be more interesting for all of us. So Dropbox was started in an era where all of us used to store our data offline, right? Imagine those external hard disks, right? Today we live in a world of Google Cloud and Apple Cloud, so we don't realize it. But there was an era where we all used to save our data offline. It could be in your internal computer hard disk, it could be an external hard disk, it could be in terabytes that were stored in like servers, right? All of that. But then came the moment of cloud, and Dropbox was very early to this, to say that, hey, what if you lived in a world where you didn't have to store your data offline, right? We will store your data for you. You can retrieve it anytime you want, right? The catch here, what they hadn't built it out, right? They had this idea. They thought this was important. They created an amazing product video, right? They created this product video. They've created a landing page that, hey, if you want early access, and the product video wasn't like, hey, this is coming. Product video was that, hey, this exists, this is there, do you want access, right? Even before they've written a single line of code. Once that video went out, there's an era where something like this didn't exist, right? So a lot of PR publications picked it up. Twitter was still a thing, was very curated, the value was there, the who's who of the value was there. And when you put out something like this, and something that revolutionary, a lot of people get interested, right? So a lot of people commented. A waitlist that was just 5,000 members blew up overnight. In under 48 hours was 75,000 strong. Now 75,000 in 2024 doesn't seem like a big number, but back in 2012, right, this is 12 years ago, 75,000 was a great number. It helped them, one, to validate the need of something like this. That, hey, even if a small percentage of the 75,000 people end up using us, we will make enough money to raise our Series A, right? And then you saw an era like 6-7 years later. All of us were doing waitlist, right? I remember Ayush and me in 2017-18 were also doing waitlist, right? So this entire, and it kind of peaked after that. And I'll tell you the reason why something like this might not work for you today is people got tired of it, right? Just imagine, and Ayush and me might have like signed up for hundreds of such products, because there's a platform called Product Hunt where day in day out we used to sit and, well, okay, yeah, this sounds interesting. Okay, another waitlist, let's sign up. And then what happened 6 months later, people abused the system so much that 6 months later, someone would say, okay, hey, you're off the waitlist. Although, when did I even sign up for this? Because by that time, I signed up for so many waitlists and people just took too long to get me off the waitlist, right? So I think this system has been abused, but you can understand, you get a sense of, okay, hey, you don't have to really spend so much time and energy building out the entire product line. You need to figure out, okay, hey, what is the best way for me to test this out? You could do this online, you could do this offline, you could partner with someone. You could figure out if there already exists. Imagine you want to build out something. If this already exists in some part of the market, right? Not exactly what you want, but if it solves a similar problem, you get it from that part of the market, you resell it here, see if there's inherent demand for something that you're building, right? Again, there's a bell curve. I'm probably talking about the middle 90%. There will always be outliers, right? Today, if you're building a foundational model, maybe this strategy might not work for you, right? You will probably need millions of dollars to train your data, etc., etc. But how many of us are really spending time on that today, right? So for 90% use cases, especially in the software product domain, please do design hypothesis, design success metrics, and design experiments that can help you validate some of these learnings, right? I'll share one more example with you, which I find very fascinating. How many of you all have heard about Zappos? Anyone here? Some of you all, okay, awesome. Balaji, do you know the story about how Zappos started? Any interesting insights?
They were allowed the customers to buy multiple shoes, try whatever they like, and return it for free.
Correct, absolutely. I'll take a step back. I'll just share a little bit about how it originated, but you're right, that was definitely one of the USPs. The website that you see on the left was essentially their first version. The one on the right is how it looks today, right? The one on the right looks like a traditional marketplace today that you'd see, right? You'd open Best Buy, it'll look very similar. But this was a time when people weren't really buying shoes online. Think of an era where e-commerce was early. Of course, you had your Amazons of the world, but Zappos came out and said that, hey, if people are buying other things online, maybe they would also buy just shoes, right? So it created a front, right? A storefront, which listed everything like a marketplace would. So they got a catalog, but the catch here is that it was just the catalog. There was no inventory, there was no supply chain. It was just two founders that made you look or made you feel like, hey, we've got everything sorted at the back end, and then went out to understand that, okay, hey, if people are purchasing off my website, I will go take that order. I will personally go to an offline retail store. I will pick up those shoes. If I don't find it in one, I'll go to another store. I'll pick that. I will ship it. If I'm able to validate that people are willing to buy shoes online, are willing to pay for this, and I've been able to figure out the supply chain for it, that, hey, we're able to pick it up in a short period of time. We're able to send it. People are not returning it. People are able to figure sizes online. Then we will solve the entire inventory and supply chain, right? Now, just think about this thought process. How many of us today, if we were to start out, say, a D2C brand, feel like, hey, we need to figure out everything else, where we'll get our inventory from, how we will brand it, how will the online placing an order work, how will the offline logistics work, how will shipping work? Yes, times have changed, no doubt, right? But there are still parts of this you can do to validate your idea before figuring out everything else, right? I'm trying to figure out the mindset for you. Now, apply this to your own products. We are all trying to build out the perfect product. In 2024, maybe yes, a Zappos or a Dropbox example might not be exactly the same, but there are always examples where you can strip down your entire product building effort to 1/10th, if not 1/20th, to validate that one particular hypothesis. What is the most important hypothesis? We of course have 10 hypotheses we want to do, but one at a time, what is the most important hypothesis? How can I design an experiment around that? How do I create demand and validate that something that I'm building is something that the market wants, right? maybe a landing page like this won't fly in 2024. We would have to build something that, hits the market with a much, much better design, for example, a much better copy. But with AI, with the advancement of no code, with so many other features, it has become so much simpler for someone who doesn't know coding also to get started with something like this, right? So I'm just asking you to go back, help your team understand that, hey, we're not going to spend 6, 8, 10, 12 months, right? Of course, if you're selling to enterprises, if you're building something that is deep tech, then things are very different, right? Then you probably need to go get them as design partners, co-build with them, be a little bit more smart about what we're doing there, right? But the idea is, okay, hey, billion-dollar startups have done this. When they started, I'm sure we can figure out a way to validate our experiments, right? Any questions so far? If not, I will share one last example with all of us. Any questions?
Maybe not a question, but I just sent a message to Ludo and I see that he received it, because I said to him, like, it looks like we did something good there. Because what that experimenting is what we've been doing endlessly, but it's our doubts starting to come, like, okay, when do we really focus, and on what is the focus do we really need to have? What's the biggest chance to
Do you want to share maybe an experiment that you are currently running? Where do you see traction from? You mentioned, okay, hey, we've been trying a couple of things, lots of things picking up. Do you want to share one example that you think you went out to the market, you saw a lot more demand coming for a specific one? Anything you'd like to share with all of us?
Yeah, we started with the creation of content for customers. So there we directly earned money on it, the margin of it. So learning content and so on. So that's still making money. Nice. But that one by one, you need to earn that customer. You will have to go through it. And so it's quite a bit of sales progress, and there are follow-up customers. So that's quite okay. We are good there. But then we are now starting with our app to promote jobs in the Netherlands, in a conglomerate of companies that are willing to promote themselves into that industrial area. And fortunately, we have set up that partnership. The partnership has been set up by the municipality, and we have created a really great visual environment in our app and so on. So we earned a little bit of money with that to do that, to make that promotional area. But now we are putting in all kinds of jobs of them for free. And that's costing us quite more time than we really realized. We thought that we had a back end on order, a back office for them to put in their own jobs. But by starting doing it, we found out, like, this is not something that we can give to a customer. We need to do it ourselves, because it's too full of small, difficult things. So that's a lot of work that we are now putting forward. We have now 75 jobs in it.
Oh, nice.
So now the traction must come, and that's the scary part. We're not the only ones responsible for it, for the marketing of it. There's others working on that, but still, we need to get the people in our app, and then we finally can earn a little bit money on those job openings and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a new way of Indeed. The job site Indeed, but then a very visual one, and that's what people say wow to, like the visual one. But still, we need traction. It's in the act. Without one or the other, you don't have anything.
Correct. I think marketplaces need both demand and supply. Do keep us posted on how you're going about, what experiments you run, what works for you. We'll definitely look forward to some of these learnings. But thanks for sharing that. I'll just share another marketplace. Airbnb is also how they solved for it. Very early days, again, before building out the entire product. Again, this is an example from a decade ago. So things have changed, but all of us are familiar with their consumer-facing product. It looks like what you see on the right? This is how Airbnb looks today. But this is not how it started. They had a hypothesis that, okay, hey, people have, spaces that they want to rent out, and maybe people will be open to sharing their homes to others to stay in. They didn't know, okay, hey, we're going to go build out an entire platform for this. What they did, Craigslist was a platform, especially in the US, where you see a lot of traction coming through, right? It is still one of the most active platforms for marketplaces. Maybe Facebook marketplaces has just crossed them over, but it is something that is still very active. So back in the day, most popular platform, they took a photo of their own bedroom, put it out there, said that, hey, to test out our hypothesis was essentially, that will people be open to renting out other people's places? Will people be open to renting out their own place so that other people can come and stay, right? Simple hypothesis. They've taken a photo, they put it up on Craigslist. They managed to get someone who was interested to come and rent their place via this. Once they validated this, they realized, okay, hey, now we need better photos. We need probably our own platform where people can come, we can own the booking flow, right? But they haven't built out all this, right? See the way they've tested this idea. And today, of course, you see a full-blown product, a product that's doing fantastic, flying off the shelves, right? But didn't start that way. So figure out what are some ideas you can do to validate it, especially in the 0 to 1, right? These are just ideas that I'm sharing from successful companies so that you know that, okay, hey, we always end up looking at day 30 of a company and feeling that, okay, hey, they're killing it. But all of them have started from a journey that's very similar to all of us, right? I'd love to share a small quote from Naval. Naval is the founder of AngelList. He's one of the most prolific thinkers. He shared that his number one predictor of whether or not a company will hit PMF is a high shipping cadence. And the reason I took this screenshot among everything else is that all of us as founders need to push our teams to build an internal culture. One thing we can own is the input, right? I am not going to ask you, I am not going to probe, but it is for you to internalize. Go back and actually think, are we really waiting for a perfect product to launch? Or, hey, are we able to ship at a fast cadence? If you are able to hit a high shipping cadence, to have a better probability to PMF. If you aren't getting here, it is safe to say that the path to PMF is going to get a lot harder, right? In short, the shipping loop that I want to, try to conclude here is it is a loop of learning, building, measuring, and then going back with some of the learnings that you've had till you get closer to PMF. So the two main things I'd love for you to keep in mind. One is, like I mentioned to you, is the shipping cadence. You definitely need, there's a make or break for early stage startup, and that boils down to speed, right? If you are taking your own sweet time, it is completely okay, but that is not how venture businesses can be built. If you want to raise money, if you want to build a venture business, this is the crux of it. Internalize a higher shipping cadence and experimentation cadence, and with 100% focus. The reason I ask you to go out there, figure out just one hypothesis and solve for that before moving on to the other, is you need extreme focus. In a day and age like this, we all want to build horizontal products, right? We feel like what we're building is something that everyone can use. But while you're tiny, while you're small, figure out certain niches that you can be the best at before going horizontal. So speed and focus while learning, building, and measuring is your key to success. The reason I say this is that as founders, one of our major task is to reduce risk and uncertainty for your teams, right? As you do more iterations of learn, build, and going back there, measuring, and then getting back into the loop, your risk and uncertainty will reduce over time, and then you can ramp up on your cost of changes, right? So initially, design experiments that don't cost you as much. If you directly go for a much larger scope from day one, you will need more time, you will need more effort, you will need more resources. It is something that early stage startups don't have the liberty, right? So once you've gone through some of these shipping loops, you understand, okay, hey, now I have a little less risk, less uncertainty. I am okay to now spend a little bit more resources on the ramp up, right? So as a founder, it is your job to ensure that you are reducing the risk and uncertainty till a stage where, yes, you can take more risk and increase the cost of your changes, right? With this, I end this section. I'd love to jump a little bit into the frameworks. I have one or two very interesting ones for you. Any questions so far? If not, I'll spend the next 5-10 minutes on these frameworks, and then we can definitely do a Q&A towards the end. Does that sound good? Awesome. So everyone, get your pens and your pencils and a notebook out in front of you. We're going to do one exercise. This is something that is very, very, very tangible for you. You can go out, put it in practice right just after this call, right? How many of you all have heard of the JTBD framework? Many of you all might have come across it. This is the jobs to be done framework. Some of you all maybe have heard of it, maybe no. Okay, perfect. If you haven't, even better, I can take it right from scratch. But what I will do is, I would love for you all to take a screenshot of this or just write it down. I have put it in this structure so that some of y'all can come present it. You can, obviously tweak the structure, but I will explain to you with an example of what I mean here, right? So that all of y'all and each of y'all will be writing it down in this exact same order. I will explain to you what is situation, what is the motivation, and what is the expected outcome. Let's take an example of Spotify for this, right? Many of y'all might have tried Spotify. Some of y'all might use it. Some of y'all might use other platforms today, right? YouTube Music is great. In India, we have Gaana, we have Saavn. Some of y'all might be using Apple Music, right? Lots of platforms today. But let's then tune it back to early days of why Spotify started and how it grew, right? So again, let's tune back to a decade. I believe that there's lots we can learn from history and apply to a day and age like this. It's one of the best recommendations engine today. The core thesis, right? If you dial this back to a decade or two earlier, we started listening to music by buying each single, maybe a DVD, maybe a CD, maybe even cassettes, or back in the day we had, songs in cassettes that we used to get, right? And I probably don't remember how we used to get music before that, but if anyone can dial it still further, I would love to learn more about how it happened then. But think of that hey, this is a generation where we have to go buy physical products which would get us access to certain libraries of music. Or another one which was popular, again, I know the section's recorded, but a lot of us have pirated music, right? There was a time where I'll go on record and say that there was a website called songs.pk where I used to download a ton of songs from, right? But none of them, it would be free for me. The experience was horrible. There was a website filled with ads. Most times I would get malware from downloading this music, but then again it was free, right? And growing up, when you don't have too many resources, we're all part and parcel of the technology change, right? So think of it as two examples. One, yes, there was an availability where I had to go buy a single cassette which would give me access to maybe 8-12 songs, and every single time a new one comes out, I have to go to the market, buy that out, and come back and listen to that. That would be one option. A little more expensive. Some of them, you'd like to collect, but that was one way you could listen to music. Another way you could do this was, like I shared with you, completely free, but horrible experience, right? The UX of the platform was pathetic. My computer was always getting infected. 6 months, a year from then, I had to spend money on. But that's something that in the retro I can say, but back then you didn't know any better, right? So in a year, then you again go to the shop and get it fixed. So Spotify picked up on this problem statement, saying that one, there is this entire catalog of music the internet has picked up. Can we get it to people in a more seamless way? Second, the problem of UX, right? It is probably horrible. Can we build a better solution, right? And one of the larger competitors at that time was Apple Music. Apple Music was already there, and I think it was called iMusic, if I'm not wrong. But this had already come to the market. So to a certain extent, what iMusic had done, they had taken the first problem that, hey, everything was physical. We will pick up physical, we will make it digital. The problem that they still didn't solve was that I would still have to pick up each single album or a single song. I would have to purchase each one of them, right? So of course they had made the physical experience digital, but the process would still be me buying each one of these, right? So now think of the situation, right? When is the situation? I've explained to you what the situation or the problem statement was. What did Spotify want to do? They wanted to simplify UX, build a great platform to simplify my access to this entire library of music. All right. If you see Spotify today, I'm not buying each single album. I'm spending a little bit of money a month to get access to unlimited songs in a beautiful recommendation engine and in a UX that is very, very pleasant to the eyes. Right. That is the expected outcome. So what is a situation that your users are struggling with? Essentially, what is the USP of what you're building? What is the motivation behind it, right? What is it it's going to solve for our user? And what is the expected outcome? Spotify is, for example, a platform that can give me access to unlimited songs in a process that is seamless. I don't have to go purchase each song on a platform where the UX is so pleasant. It is so nice to listen to, right? Does this give you a fair idea of where we're going with this? Anyone, any questions? I'll give you 2 minutes. Everyone can note down. Everyone knows what they're building. But I'd love for you to put it in this structure. And as and when you're done, please give me a thumbs up. Over here, you can just hit the react button and love for 2-3 of you all to come present it to the rest of us. I'll also tell you how this will help you, right? One is internally, everyone's on the same page. Second, you get more clarity of if you're going the right direction. And third is something that I think is missing. If we had more time, we would have gone through some of your landing pages. One thing a lot of us struggle with is how do we communicate what we're building much better to our users, right? And a landing page is a great way for you to break that ice. A lot of people discover you online through your landing pages. Your copy then needs to be crisp, right? Which is something that a lot of us miss out on. But yeah, I'm hoping this exercise will help you with these 3 things. So the next 2 minutes are yours. I'll take a quick pause. As and when you're done, just give me a thumbs up and I would love for 2-3 of you all to come present it. By the way, I'm going to pull up people at random. So I'm hoping everyone who I cannot see here as well is also doing this exercise. Ayush is first to raise his hand. Ayush, you finished this exercise?
Yeah, I would like to give it a try.
Okay, awesome. Just give me a minute. Let's wait for some more people and then I'd love for you to go first. Anyone have any questions? I see some of y'all that I don't see on my screen. I'm gonna maybe call out your names. Sheetal from Easify, if you're around, I'd love for you to present. I see Tuhina, if you're around, would love for you to present. And Dhaval, if you're around, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But I'd love for 3 of y'all to present after. And if any of y'all who are on video, of course. But I just thought I'll involve the rest as well. Ayush, since you're ready, maybe you could go get started so that everyone else also gets a fair idea. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just take. So on the situation side, I think so Metadrop is a virtual store, virtual showroom builder, which enables large luxury retail brands to come online and launch themselves onto Metaverse and create that kind of experience. So the situation here in the market that we see is that right now, probably the talent pool is little, probably they have to invest a lot to create a custom environment, and not necessarily everyone has the capability, although the technology is picking up, but I think there is a friction into the way that they could do it. So our offering is essentially helping them to get to a platform where we can give them a drag and drop no code platform where they can quickly come and create and build that for themselves and launch it. On the motivation side, like I said, that we want them to be free of any kind of dependency onto learning the technology, having a tech team, do a custom building through vendor, or even grow with the upcoming technology, and we become one-stop solution for them as a platform. So that is the motivation I think we have, and the outcome, like I said, that once you have add an additional layer of customer experience given, where anything that is already in digital commerce, if you add the layer of 3D or VR or AR on it, the immersion or the interactive offering enhances probably the conversion rates, or probably the customer satisfaction, probably the customer experience, and probably opens up additional revenue streams, especially for the new gen user base that the brands are probably missing out because they are not on they are basically more inclined onto immersive experiences, or they are probably adopting VR or AR more. So this can be an outcome that can be expected by the SaaS clients that we have. So I think these were the few thoughts I had. Basis. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. Very simply put, building storefronts in AR/VR can become very challenging for a lot of brands. They do not have the tech know-how. It can get a lot more expensive. So you're simplifying that angle. You're allowing every single store owner to have an AR/VR storefront. You've explained the situation, you've explained the motivation, you've explained the expected outcome. That's perfect. I'll just take a step back. What I'd love for you also to do is think from the user point of view also. This is perfect, exactly, because your end customer is a storefront. So perfect. But when you say you're building in a space that is the metaverse, it is a market that is slightly undereducated today, right? So the same exercise, but do it also for the end user. What you've done is perfect, actually. You've done it for the customer, but also do it for the end user. That will give you insights on, also going and pitching it to the customer, saying that, okay, hey, many of them don't even know they need something like this, right? For those who know they need something like this, yours is perfect because you're solving a big pain point for them on, they don't have the tech know-how, it's too expensive, here we're solving this for you. So perfect there. But especially for a market like this, right, if there is a way that you can build out a similar thesis for the end user, it'll help you go pitch to the storefront that, hey, you're missing out on so much. All your users are here. This is what your users want. This is what you're missing out. So just think through that one bit. But yeah, awesome.
So we are into building materials. So as a customer, when I build my new home, I want to purchase materials at best price and quality, so I can build within my budget conveniently.
Okay. Can you go a little deeper on that? Can you just repeat that once more? I'd love to break it down to the rest of us.
So when I build my new home, having a very niche customer, I want to purchase materials at best price.
Perfect.
And quality as well, right?
Perfect.
So that's what I want to. So I can build within my budget conveniently. Because others currently they have to go to multiple shops to get the price, to compare the prices and stuff.
Love it. Very concise. Only one question for you again is brainstorm a little bit about offline purchases. We know when you're doing building materials, a lot of it today is offline, right? But e-commerce has picked up, so there is an opportunity for something like what you're doing. Is there a seamless way of doing it? Is there a pain point of buying offline so big that, hey, I'm going to solve it for you? Especially, I think you mentioned the point of comparison and quality. If you ask me, I think these two become like, if you ask me today, I would probably go with my contractor because I feel like I trust him to know which are the best shop. I probably don't know, right? But if there was a website like what Policy Bazaar does for, across the place, tell me, okay, hey, in one particular platform, tell me these are the policies. This is what I'm looking for. These are the policies. This is why this one is better for you.
So
please go ahead. I'd love to.
So right now, Better Home, I'm from technology background, I'm a software developer. But right now, my site and app are just a channel to bring customers.
Okay.
We're focusing on these offline customers only, where they go into multiple shops, trying to get the best prices. They're still not sure what the quality is right. We tied up with all the brands directly, so we ensure that the original products are getting sold, and it's a wholesale price basically.
Nice.
Not going in the online. Online is just a channel.
Not yet.
WhatsApp is
perfect. I think that's perfect.
But there are some customers who buy just the fans, like very known products. They buy a fan, water tank like that across India. But now we are targeting very niche customers where they build the whole home. They buy the material themselves and get a contractor to build it, not through an engineer.
Perfect.
So that customer, again, like 3,000 homes getting built in Chennai alone, like almost 100,000 homes getting built across India. Covering those customers.
What is your GTM today? Like when you mentioned, okay, we're targeting offline customers today, how are you reaching out to them?
Right now, currently referrals. And we put some Google ads as well.
Okay, got it. I think also there are lots of platforms that are now trying. One of them is pretty big, trying to get construction workers together. It's a community for construction workers. Another one that is started with Kerala, but essentially getting a platform where you can hire interior designers. Just give you an example. If there are platforms that are specifically getting a platform where builders can get together, where contractors are there, is that a platform that you can go partner with? If it's an offline play, say that, hey, we'll make this entire online thing a lot easier for you. I'm just brainstorming. I think that's an interesting category. It's still very, very, I'd say, dispersed, right? So a lot of dispersed category, but very tough. Like GTM in this category is not as easy. But I think those are problems that are still solvable, still yet to be solved in India, right? If you're building another e-commerce platform, that probably might not. But vertical that you're going in is huge.
But the main model everybody uses, all the big brands use this. They send people to scan the area. They go to every street and road, see some new homes getting built, or see the renovation happen. They put the rubbish on the street, right?
Yeah.
Then you can knock the door and say, we got the center.
No, very exciting. Keep me posted. I hope this exercise helped you maybe just, clarify in your head, okay, hey, where's the pain point? What can we really go to the user and say, hey, you're struggling with it. This is what we bring to the table, right? So
It is it's quite similar to in software development. As I think agile is a way of developing software.
Yeah.
Same way as
in fact, even my previous slide was basically bringing a waterfall model into more of an agile model, right? So very similar to what we do in software.
Yeah.
Awesome, folks. I have one more framework. I'm not going to go too deep in this, but you all can all take a screenshot of this. This is essentially the DMX, right? So it's very, very straightforward, where we are trying to build something that is differentiated, that is something that had a sensible model, and by model I mean a business model, and by model here we mean something that can be margin enhancing, right? Anything where you can definitely make cash flow in hard to copy ways. So that is essentially DMH. Lots of examples here as well, but like just for the paucity of time, I'd love for you to take a screenshot here. Try to understand in what you are building, are you able to delight your customers in margin enhancing ways and build a moat in hard to copy ways, right? These are just three things for you to figure out. Whatever you're building, try figuring out moats, margins, and definitely make your customers happy, right? You can take a screenshot, lots of examples. If you get more time, we'll go through this, but I would love to conclude by sharing some things that we've learned here and then open up to a question or answer. Experimentation over elaborate planning, right? We spend so much time building the perfect product or planning to build a perfect product. Go out there, the market will teach you a lot more than you already know, right? That takes me to point number 2, customer feedback over intuition. As we grow older, as we have more experiences in life, we definitely have a gut, and I'd say listen to that gut for sure. But as your companies grow, we tend to then stay away from customers thinking that, hey, we've learned enough, right? So I'd love for you to keep continuously talking to your customers and not miss out on customer feedback. The third one is iterative design over traditional big design upfront development. I think Balaji and me were just discussing waterfall versus agile. Waterfall was definitely useful at its time, but the world around you is changing so much. Just think about it. November 2022 is where ChatGPT launched. In a year and a half, the amount of money that's gone into the space, the amount of startups that have come up, the amount of design and development that's going to get automated for you in the next couple of years is crazy, right? If you're going to spend a year building out what you have, I'm sure a year later things would have changed by then, right? So iterative design over traditional big design upfront development, and think in days, not weeks or months, right? Of course, you have to have a plan for maybe a year with a vision of where you're going, but execute in days, not weeks, not months, right? And this brings me back to my point on the shipping cadence, a very high shipping cadence. Focus on speed, focus on quality, focus on getting that product out to the market, learning and coming back, right? So with that, I would love to conclude this session. Only one slide that, hey, it probably feels great listening to a session for 45 minutes, but you can probably go out and write a great plan there. But the reality is that all our lives have lots of ups and downs. The life of an entrepreneur is not a single straight line. We're all in this together to support each other through this journey. We're all part of a cohort. These are very, very long journeys. Each down will have an up. That is something I can assure you. But while you're down in the trenches, support each other, and hopefully see it through till the end, and have fun along the way, right? So all the best to everyone building out amazing products here. I'm only a DM away. Feel free to reach out to me if you think I can help in any way. And I'll also share a couple of resources. I have some things that help me. So I'll share that with Shruti, and she can probably just share those links with you on your WhatsApp group. So that's a takeaway whenever you have some time. The Founders Library is essentially a resource of all the templates that you might need. The other 3 or 4 articles are something that have really helped me shape up the way I think about building products. So I will share links to each one of these. Whenever you have some downtime, whenever you think, okay, hey, this looks interesting, pick it up. It's not something that you have to finish. It's not a Bible that you need to finish before you build product, but just something that you can always keep referring and going back to, right? With that, I'd love to open up for some question and answers. If you have some questions, feel free to ask now. If not, we can always take it at a later point. That's completely fine.
So as you had mentioned that A/B testing session that you've done, if
Yeah.
you could also post that, we would love to have that recording.
And I'll send you a link to that. It's more of a guide, so that will be a little more comprehensive. It's again a very, very vast topic, but I'll share a link with you. I'll share a link to all these resources plus that A/B testing. Shruti, is it okay if I share it with you? If you can share it with them on their WhatsApp group, they can bookmark that if that's okay.
Sure, Suhas, we can do that.
Awesome. That's my time, folks. Just one thing that I'll end with today is also the 5th year anniversary for the product folks, and we just put out a small surprise on Times Square in New York. So a very, very big thing for a small community like us, and sharing a link to that here. So if any of y'all are interested, do check that out. But the community is always going to be there. If y'all need any help, join the Slack. It's a free community to join. It's a volunteer-driven one. If you need help with hiring, if you want to promote your products, if you need feedback on what you're building, you'll get a lot of help. So with that, it's my time. Shruti, back to you. I know there's a feedback form that you want to share with the others, and folks, feel free to, again, like last time I shared, please feel free to share any candid feedback you might have. It'll only help getting these sessions much better for the coming cohorts. Right. Thank you so much again for joining in. I hope you all walked away with something interesting.